Rihanna left utterly speechless after what ASAP Rocky just did for her. The night had started like any other. Soft candlelight flickered along the marble walls of their Los Angeles home. Outside, the city shimmered beneath a velvet black sky, palm trees swaying gently in the warm breeze. Inside, the atmosphere was calm, almost too calm. Rihanna stood barefoot near the grand piano in the living room, absently playing a few soft notes. The melody was unfinished, like a thought she couldn't quite put into words. Her voice hummed quietly under her breath. She didn't notice him watching her at first. Rocky leaned against the hallway archway, arms folded, studying her with a look that was part admiration, part something deeper, something determined. Tonight wasn't ordinary, and she had no idea. The distraction. "Babe?" Rocky called casually. She turned slightly. "Yeah? You busy?" She gave him a playful side eye. "You know I'm always busy." He smirked. "Not tonight." There was something in his tone that made her pause. "What are you up to?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. "Trust me," she laughed softly. "That's dangerous." But she followed him anyway. The ride outside, a sleek black car waited in the driveway. No driver, just tinted windows and an unfamiliar silence. "Where are we going?" she asked, climbing in. "You'll see." The ride felt longer than usual. They passed city lights, then quieter streets, then darker roads lined with tall gates and towering trees. She glanced at him several times. He was unusually quiet, not nervous, focused. That's when she started to feel it, that subtle shift in the air, the sense that something big was coming. The gates open. The car slowed in front of massive iron gates. They opened slowly. Rihanna frowned. "I've never been here." Rocky smiled but said nothing. The driveway curved through acres of perfectly manicured land. Fountains illuminated in soft gold light, white roses lining the path, lanterns glowing every few feet like something out of a dream. And at the end of it all, a house. No, a masterpiece. Glass walls, white stone, endless balconies overlooking the ocean, the entire structure glowing under carefully placed lights. Rihanna's breath caught. What is this? Rocky stepped out of the car and walked around to open her door. He extended his hand. She stared at the house, then at him. Rocky, he didn't speak. He just led her inside. Inside the dream. The doors opened automatically. The interior was breathtaking, a blend of modern architecture and soft, warm comfort. Cream-colored sofas, a grand staircase wrapped in crystal railings, a private recording studio visible through soundproof glass. Her recording studio, her exact setup. The same piano she'd fallen in love with years ago. The same rare microphone she once said she missed. Even the walls were decorated with framed moments from her journey. Childhood photos, early performances, magazine covers, candid backstage shots. Her story, every chapter, carefully preserved. She stepped forward slowly. Her fingers trembled. "How?" Rocky finally spoke. "You said once that if you ever built your dream place, it would feel like home and history at the same time." She turned to him, eyes already glassy. He continued, "So I built it." Her lips parted. No sound came out. The balcony. He guided her upstairs to the largest balcony. The ocean stretched endlessly before them, waves crashing softly below. In the distance, fireworks suddenly lit up the sky. Gold, silver, soft pink. She gasped, stepping back slightly. And then she saw it. Below the balcony, illuminated in giant letters across the lawn, "Thank you for choosing me." Her hand flew to her mouth. Rocky stepped closer. "I know the world sees you as this unstoppable icon, but I see the woman who doubts herself sometimes, the one who carries so much on her shoulders." Her tears spilled over now. "I wanted you to have something that reminds you don't carry it alone." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You did this for me, for you, for us, for every dream you ever put on hold, for everybody else." The final surprise. She thought it was over. It wasn't. He reached into his jacket pocket and handed her a small velvet box. She blinked. "Rocky." "It's not what you think," he said quickly, smiling. Inside the box wasn't a ring. It was a key, a custom-designed gold key with her initials engraved delicately at the top. "This place is in your name." Her breath stopped. "What? You built empires, brands, music, fashion, for everybody else. I wanted something that was only yours." Her knees nearly gave out. He caught her instantly. And for the first time that night, Rihanna, global superstar, business mogul, fearless performer, had absolutely no words, no clever comeback, no dramatic reaction, just tears and silence. Utterly speechless, she stared at the key in her palm. then at him, then at the sky exploding in color above them. Finally, she managed one broken sentence. You remembered everything. He laughed softly through his own emotion. I remember you. She stepped into him, wrapping her arms around his neck, burying her face into his shoulder. For a long moment, the only sound was the ocean and distant fireworks. She pulled back slowly. You always surprise me, she whispered. He brushed a tear from her cheek. Good. She shook her head, still overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say. Then don't say anything. The quiet after later that night, long after the fireworks ended, they sat together on the floor of the empty living room. No music, no cameras, no world watching, just them. Rihanna looked around at the walls, the studio, the open ocean view. This is the first gift anyone's ever given me that feels like understanding. Rocky smiled softly. That's because it wasn't about money. She leaned her head against his chest. It was about listening. And for the first time in a long time, Rihanna was completely, utterly speechless. Not because she didn't have something to say, but because, for once, she didn't need to. The penthouse was glowing gold. Candles flickered against the glass walls, reflecting the New York skyline in 1,000 soft halos. The city below buzzed with life, but up here, high above the noise, everything felt suspended in quiet anticipation. Rihanna stood near the balcony doors, staring out at the shimmering lights. The wind gently lifted a strand of her hair as she wrapped her arms around herself. She thought it was just another dinner. Another romantic night planned by ASAP Rocky, thoughtful, unpredictable in his own artistic way. But something felt different. The air felt charged. Behind her, the soft echo of piano keys drifted through the room. She turned slowly and froze. There, in the center of the room, stood Rocky, dressed in a sleek, black suit, no tie, his braids freshly done, his eyes softer than she had ever seen them. But that wasn't what stole her breath. Behind him was an entire orchestra. Violins, cellos, a grand piano, even a harp. In her living room, her lips parted slightly. Rocky, she whispered. He didn't speak at first. Instead, he nodded gently to the conductor. The music swelled. It wasn't just any melody. It was hers. A soft orchestral version of Stay, her song, her vulnerability, her heart. And as the first chorus rose into the air, the glass doors behind her slowly opened. She turned again, and that's when she saw it. Across the rooftop terrace, illuminated by hundreds of warm string lights, was a massive installation crafted entirely of white roses. It wasn't just decoration, it was a timeline. Photographs framed in gold, suspended between floral arches. Their first public appearance. Behind-the-scenes studio moments. Candid laughing shots no one else had seen, even sonograms. Her breath caught in her throat. He had documented everything. Every chapter. Every memory. Every quiet moment that the world never saw. Rocky stepped forward slowly. You give the world everything, he said softly, but I wanted to give you something that's just yours. Her eyes shimmered, still no words. He guided her gently toward the terrace. As they stepped outside, the orchestra transitioned into another song, a melody he had written himself, unreleased, raw, personal. She recognized his voice layered into the instrumental, subtle, intimate, almost like a whisper against her skin. And then she saw the final installation. At the end of the rose-lined pathway stood a glass case. Inside it, a leather-bound book, handmade, her name embossed in gold. She stepped closer, her hands trembling. Rocky opened it. Every page was filled. Letters, hundreds of them, handwritten, dated. From the very first day, he realized he loved her. From the night he watched her perform and felt his chest tighten. From the moment he found out she was pregnant. From the fears he never spoke. From the gratitude he carried quietly. From the pride he felt watching her conquer industries, stages, and motherhood. Tears blurred her vision. You wrote all this? She whispered. For years, he nodded, whenever I couldn't say it out loud. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. But he wasn't done. The orchestra softened. The skyline lights dimmed slightly, and suddenly the side of the neighboring building lit up. A projection. Massive. A short film began to play. Clips she had never seen before. Home videos. Moments he had secretly filmed. Her dancing barefoot in the kitchen. Her laughing uncontrollably at 2 a.m. Her sleeping peacefully with their child curled against her chest. Then his voice filled the air. I've watched you be strong for everyone. I've watched you carry the world on your shoulders and still shine. But tonight, I just want you to feel how loved you are." Her hands flew to her mouth, speechless, completely, utterly. The final scene of the projection appeared. It was him, standing in an empty recording studio weeks earlier, looking straight into the camera. "I don't need the world's applause," he said in the video. "I just need you." The screen faded. Fireworks erupted silently, white and gold, blooming like stars against the night sky. She didn't even notice them at first. She was staring at him. Rocky took a final step closer, and then he knelt. Not with a flashy diamond, not with cameras, but with something far more powerful. He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside wasn't just a ring. It was redesigned. The stone had been taken from a ring his grandmother once wore, reset into something modern, elegant, and timeless. "Family," he said quietly. "Legacy. Us." Her knees nearly buckled. She covered her face again, trying to find words. Anything. But nothing came. No witty comment, no confident comeback, no glamorous composure, just tears streaming down her cheeks. He looked up at her, eyes glassy now, too. "You've changed my life in ways I don't even have language for," he continued. "And I don't want to walk through another chapter without choosing you, loudly, proudly, forever." The orchestra stopped completely. The city felt silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. She lowered her hands slowly. Her lips trembled. Still no sound. The strongest woman in every room. The global icon, the mogul, the performer, the mother, speechless. Because this wasn't about fame. It wasn't about spectacle. It wasn't about headlines. It was personal, intimate, deep. She stepped forward, not saying yes, not saying anything at all, and simply dropped to her knees in front of him, wrapping her arms around him, holding him tight. The velvet box slipped gently from his hand onto the roses, and in the quiet between them she finally found her voice, barely above a whisper. "You really did all this? For me?" He smiled against her shoulder. "For you. Every time." She pulled back slowly, wiping her tears, still shaking her head in disbelief. "You left me speechless," she breathed. He grinned softly. "Good, because I've been speechless since the day I met you." The fireworks reflected in her tear-filled eyes, and for the first time that night she laughed, through tears, through shock, through overwhelming love. The world would never know the full story of that night. They would see headlines, speculate, guess, but they would never understand the quiet power of what he had done. He didn't just plan a net romantic evening. He gave her something rare, a moment where she didn't have to be strong, didn't have to perform, didn't have to lead, just receive. And as they stood together beneath the fading sparks of gold light, holding onto each other like gravity depended on it, there were no more words. Because sometimes love speaks loudest when it leaves you utterly, beautifully speechless.